Today, we're talking about a $400 million buy that is actually being facilitated through a sale of equities by one of the most, sought after NASDAQ companies of 2020, MicroStrategy, and their CEO, Michael Saylor, who has become a notorious and famous Bitcoin bull, essentially internalizing and parroting all of the most sort of classic Bitcoin value propositions. This is an amazing position to be in, to have one of the leaders of our sort of tech business economy taking Bitcoin and utilizing it for what it is amazing at, something we have not seen in the past, something that to me is indicative of a shifting and maturing crypto market. And if you guys are looking at things the way I am, you might see a little bit of an amendment to the law, if you will, that Bitcoin has to dump, 30% or more in order to recoup and gain strength. Now, a lot of people are looking for downside right now, and that's because Bitcoin has been lackluster in getting over this 20K boss battle. I mean, to be honest, I expected it. I predicted many times that Bitcoin would not pierce 20K in any kind of profound or meaningful manner until the new year. There are a lot of balls in the air. There's a lot of juggling happening for the crypto economy. And with all bull runs, there is even a fair bit of FUD. And that is to be expected, as the more high profile yes, it did. Well, it did from the starting price of 0.3. That's where they started it, guys. That's just where it did. That's where API started, was 0.3. There was an exploit. There was all that stuff. Just because people couldn't get it till $1, that doesn't mean nobody got it. It was just somebody exploited it. That's the reality. It started at 0.3. Sorry. Anyway, the point is, right now, Bitcoin is in a sideways movement. And if Bitcoin continues like this, right, and we did get some breakdown here happening a little bit to the high 18s, but that's not really a breakdown, right? And so what's the law of the land before is that Bitcoin essentially will correct upwards of 30 to 40% during a bull market. And right now, what we've seen is a maximum of a 17% correction. That is potentially a new normal here, where these 17% corrections or so will be they'll be getting bought up by very sophisticated investors, because the new investors coming into Bitcoin are not like much love from the ghetto, San Bernardino, not too far away from me in LA. Shout out Nestor Nunez. Thank you so much. But the reality is that this isn't the same investor profile that's buying Bitcoin in 2020 to the ones that were buying Bitcoin in 2017. In 2016 and 17, we had an exclusively retail phenomenon where you had almost exclusively, you had small hands, or even if they were funds or investment groups, they were relatively small compared to the traditional sort of financial titans that you see pretty much dominating the mainstream centralized financial system, like you would see with hedge funds, like you would see with NASDAQ companies, like you would see with the big mainstream money bags. For that reason, having a different investor profile means a few things. There's going to be less volatility, meaning there's going to be less daily change in percentage price. That's both good and bad. As long as we're going up, it's good. What's bad about it is it might not go up as violently or as fast as people want it to go. However, what we're seeing is repeated success happening in altcoins. So as long as Bitcoin is able to grind it out and keep growing its market cap and keep growing without any kind of huge violent drops, that would present a scenario where excess liquidity from Bitcoin is going to start flooding into the altcoins. While new money comes into Bitcoin, that sort of existing money that's floating on gains is going to start going into those altcoins. And we've seen it happen throughout the entire course of this year. We've seen it profoundly in months like August. And I said a few days ago, it does feel a little like August. And if you remember in August, what did we have? Let's go ahead and dive into the window. And we'll go ahead, first of all, and cover what is some shocking news. But let me just first look at Bitcoin for a second here. Let's look at Bitcoin for a second. And let's look at August. Because August was this interesting month, right? Where we had a relatively poor performance, you could say, out of Bitcoin, right? You had July coming in here, and here's July. Starting price on July 27th was 10.9, and even on August 1st, we got 11.8. We got 11.8 on August 1st. We peaked at 12.2. So from 11.8 to 12.2, what's 12.2 divided by 11.8? That equals, you got a 3% increase, right? A 3% increase, or 3.3% increase, right? And so from here to up here is really not that much. Let me make sure I did that math right. Yeah, that's right. Anyway, so what we see here is a 3% increase and then sort of just, not very much action going on here. Meanwhile, what did we see throughout coins like, Band, right? Let's look at Band, or these trending sort of oracle plays that really popped off during August. What we see is, of course, we saw this in August. Boom, what was this? From $3 all the way up to 15 or something, right? They see 500%, right? And this was indicative of many trends that took place while Bitcoin was grinding out that range. You guys know how this works. If Bitcoin's grinding out a range at a higher dollar figure than it has been, that's really good for the alts. It's rocket fuel for the alts. So what am I talking about with a different profile right now, which is that we have MicroStrategy issuing $400 million in securities, meaning they're selling $400 million worth of their MSTR stock, and they're selling that so they can buy Bitcoin. They're pretty much essentially saying, hey, look, buy our stock and we're going to buy Bitcoin with it. And I don't know, it seems like a pretty straightforward bargain. It makes you wonder how this is allowed to happen, but there's no Bitcoin ETF, which is essentially the same concept. Regardless, MicroStrategy has now bought, with this 400 million, they've already purchased 470 million, plus another, what was it? They had another one. Let's go to Michael Saylor. Michael Saylor bought another big amount of Bitcoin a few weeks ago too. Where was it? Yeah, so he bought another 50 million right here on December 4th. So he's done 425 million, another 50 million. I think this was a third $50 million. So bringing that up to 525 million plus 400 million, which would bring us up to nearly $1 billion he spent on Bitcoin. Whoa. Anyway, so yes, we're going to talk about altcoin news in a little bit. 949 of you guys in the chat. Would you guys all do me a favor and destroy that like button so we can get some more folks in here, share this content with some more people. Really appreciate you all coming, guys. We just hit 100,000. I couldn't have done it without you guys. I can't tell you how humbled and excited I am for the future. I genuinely look at every stage as just a new beginning, right? And I see this as just the beginning of a very powerful next phase for this community. So thank you guys so much again. And if you guys could all smash that like button, it would really help this piece of content get out there. So this is a very interesting sort of trend that we're seeing, where MicroStrategy has been issuing stock now, new stock, to buy Bitcoin, which they weren't doing. They were using their liquidity, their existing assets. And wouldn't you know that during the last few months, since Michael Saylor announced that he was going to start buying Bitcoin in October, we've seen this, which is a run-up of pretty much, what was this, almost 300% here. He almost 3x'd his stock here since the summer. And so this is what's going on, is his market cap of his stock is gone to almost $3 billion from about $1 billion. And well, wouldn't you know it, the very day that you see this big drop in the stock market on his MSTR stock, you have an announcement of the biggest next buy of Bitcoin. So what game is he playing here? Is he playing the stock market game through Bitcoin? I mean, he's not a dumb guy. He knows that this has tripled his stock. So this is going to be, again, what you'll see is that Bitcoin as an asset class, you can extend the benefits and the ripples beyond what's going on directly on the spot market. What you're seeing here is that the Bitcoin asset is lifting billions of dollars in market cap for MicroStrategy, and he's planning on keeping and rinsing and repeating this strategy, which may continue to net him stock market gains as well as real asset value gains. Pretty crazy. Citi downgraded MicroStrategy. Okay, yeah. Well, then now you see what's going to happen with sort of gatekeeping. If that's true, I didn't know that they downgraded MicroStrategy. And yes, I'm seeing a lot of people in the chat saying that the Bondly TGE is imminent. It's happening any second now. We started streaming at 11 a.m. Pacific, and according to them, they're launching anytime between now and 4 hours from now. Let's see if they actually have any updates here. No, so I think that they were just doing a live stream. I don't know. I don't think we have the address yet. I saw some people out there fudding around, those mother fudders, and they were saying essentially that, there's some issue with Bondly because there was some people that created a fake Bondly token. Guys, this is the same playbook that's been run for literally since the beginning, the dawn of time, of crypto time. There's going to be scam tokens. That's why you have to wait for direct contracts to be published by the original project. You need to, if you aren't comfortable with finding the token address from the project and getting it on Uniswap or whatever you need to do, then you need to wait until you can get it on CoinGecko, where they have, if you guys are new to CoinGecko, they have these any market, right? If you go to let's go to deep here where we can get a Uniswap market. Yeah, we'll go to API 3 here, right? And you see the markets tab, and then you can click here and you see the top Uniswap market here. If you click this, it becomes a link where you can see the exact market and it takes you to the right market. And so this is how you want to find coins. If they're market, right, with something like a Bondly that's going to have a pretty hotly contested launch, right, where there's going to be a lot of people looking to get their hands on it. What you'll see here is they'll post their contract address, and it'll take a while for it to get on CoinGecko. But by the time it does get on CoinGecko, you can see a lot of coins, when they get on CoinGecko, it looks like they immediately go down. And that's because CoinGecko lists it a little late after the first 24 hours or so, when the coin's price is pretty high up. And so it makes it look like it's actually lost value, when in fact the value started much lower than that. Regardless, I don't really care if they downgrade MicroStrategy. It doesn't seem to, or maybe that's what's caused this dump right here, is the city downgrading MicroStrategy. Let me see this. Downgraded. City downgrades MicroStrategy stock after bold Bitcoin bet 2 hours ago. So this is in direct response to disproportionate Bitcoin focus. City analyst issued a sell rating. I mean, yeah, it's hard to say, right? This thing's up 300%. You know what I tell you guys to do on a 3X, right? You should definitely be taking some profits on a 3X, especially in the stock market. But that said, this looks like some kind of FOMO-tastic behavior, right? Where people are just riding the Bitcoin FOMO. So do I think that this is actually a solid downgrading? I don't know. I'm not in stock rating, but should you possibly take some profits in this particular instance if you've seen such aggressive returns? Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad idea, right? At pretty much at any rate, if this continues to play out, it doesn't matter what the downgrade is. They're going to keep, people are going to keep buying the stock, right? But this is a good example of gatekeeping by sort of big centralized entities. Anyway, people are all talking about a spike downwards, and people are all worried about Bitcoin running out of gas. And people are talking about, CME gaps here at 17,000. Remember, we never really filled the CME gap under 9,500. If we went down to fill that gap, I'd be pretty worried, to be honest. But at the same time, anything in between, 12K and here is fair game, as I've said, given historical context, because we know that Bitcoin dumps historically upwards of 30 to 40% during bull markets. And that's completely healthy and normal. And so that's sort of what you just have to keep in mind, is that we may very well be moving into a new type of market where these types of dips just don't happen, because you have this type of buying activity and this type of investor profile who are buying, at every opportunistic moment, because they're no longer hitching their wagon just as a private investor where they fill their bags and that's it. They're a company that has constant P&L, and they're using it as a treasury reserve asset, which is pretty much the holy grail, right? We could look for this to be a constant source of Bitcoin buy pressure, and things like drops or dips would be what these types of investors wait for. So this would be a very interesting change of dynamic that could have in my opinion, pretty shockingly new normal for Bitcoin, which is that it doesn't dump like that. It just doesn't. Maybe after it goes, super parabolic and we get a 6-figure Bitcoin, maybe there would be a big dump after that. But at any rate, we also have Jack Dorsey doing more, $10 million for energy, for Bitcoin mining. Let's get on to the fun stuff that I know you guys are looking forward to, which is Injective just launched their testnet V2, their Solstice V2 launch. And this has been causing a lot of excitement. Testnet, this project I covered right as they launched. They were down at about, what was it, 70 cents or something. Let me bring up INJ. And the reason why I like it is, if you guys are familiar, with my content, you'll know I'm pretty not obsessed is maybe not the right word, but I'm very focused on what works in the normal financial world and what works in the crypto world, and understanding how the crypto world will come to over time resemble a lot of the same structures as the centralized financial world, but with different setup. One of the things that people love in the centralized financial world is leverage, and they love derivatives. So the big traders, the big money traders, they do not go in and say, I like Tesla, I'm going to buy Tesla. That's not how they trade. The way they do it is they short and they long, and they use derivative products called puts and calls. There's a much more complex system of tools that they use to do something called risk management and get essentially exposure to price action with a bunch more variables that they can use to control their winning the game, right? And so if you talk to big traders like my buddy Eric Crown over at Crown's Crypto Cave, I've seen him do this to an extremely successful degree here in crypto land, and that is understanding that derivatives are really where it's at. However, decentralized derivatives are super, super nascent. They're super nascent. If I remember correctly, essentially in Q1 of this year, we saw an explosion of the derivative sector. But in the normal financial world, the derivative sectors is like orders of magnitude bigger than the underlying stock market. Here we can see this wealth visualized. I think it's this, did I misspell wealth? Wealth visualized. I think it's this. Yes. So it's this thing, right? So as we scroll down, you'll see, we have cryptocurrencies here. They actually have it outdated. It's a couple more chunks than that, right? So you double this, right? So you have, 5, instead of 2.5, you have 5, right? And then we have military spending, U.S. budget. And then we have the Fortune 500, right? Which is something like, what is this? Where does it give you a grand total? Okay, well, you have the whole stock market, which is like $90 trillion. $90 trillion for the whole stock market. All the stock markets all around the world are $90 trillion. But then you get down here to the derivatives market. And this is the derivatives market, right? This is it. And it goes on and on and on. And there's only estimates here because the notional value they're guessing is 1 quadrillion, which is 1,000 trillion. So if you think for easy math here, that the stock markets are worth 90 trillion, right? And then you have, the derivatives market worth potentially 1 quadrillion, right? So 1,000 trillion. And then you have other asset classes in there. Just call it like 300 trillion or something for the underlying spot values that are derivatives are based on. You have a 3+X relationship between the stock market and the underlying spot markets and the derivatives markets. And Injective is dealing with derivatives markets in crypto, which are still only 1/3 the size of the spot market. So we have a complete flipping in crypto where the spot market has 3 times the value of the derivatives market in crypto. And the derivatives market in the normal world usually has 3x the size of the normal underlying market. So we need to flip those if we're going to see the really big money bags come in that are going to use these more complex instruments. And so essentially what I'm trying to say is that this is a very nascent space, that this is going to grow by leaps and bounds. And the actual growth potential for derivatives in crypto is of the highest of any space in crypto. Now, does that mean that INJ is going to be the leader forever and take up? No, but they have really good tech. They're doing some really interesting stuff. And they are, by all means, one of the interesting and probably most interesting competitors for that throne, along with Serum, right? So it's Serum and Injective, but Injective's a $28 million market cap, and Serum, I think, touched $300 million in August, meaning that this thing could still 10x to get to where Serum was. And so you look at Inject, and both of those are still nascent because you're looking at 1,000 trillion as the derivatives market in the mainstream financial world. Now, the other thing is that these decentralized derivatives are much less used than the centralized derivatives. So once you start seeing a higher usage of decentralized derivatives, and then you see a higher usage of crypto derivatives in general, you can see this space kind of ballooning in size and stature, and that's pretty interesting to see. So that's why Injective has a lot of exciting things, and to me, it's just sort of a long-term speculative hold. I bought a pretty modest bag when it came out. And I'm just going to hold on to it and see where it goes, because I think that there's potential for this one to go far, right? It's kind of like my API 3 bag. Like, I'm not in a rush to flip it. I want to see what happens. I could be wrong, could be right. But if this thing does end up succeeding, it could succeed like really big. And so that's kind of why the market it's addressing is huge. And so, just to recap, Bondly TGE is today, but there were some scam tokens. Don't get scammed, guys. Wait for the official announcement. And then what else? Okay, so there's a project I covered last month called Terra Virtua, and they actually have this like really cool NFT ecosystem. I put them on my November altcoins list, but it turns out they ended up pushing back their launch until December 10th. So this week they'll be launching, and they're doing a little bit of like an IEA, like an initial exchange auction or something like that. So this is a new mechanism again. I'm not a big fan of BitMax. That's kind of like the annoying part is BitMax is not the best exchange. But at any rate, they're launching and they're coming this month. And I think that in the NFT space, with all the things that they've built, with really cool IP, with really cool AR technology, they might be one to watch in the NFT space. And I'll be doing some deep and intimate coverage of NFTs, as I promised you guys in the last episode that I would. And that kind of concludes the scheduled programming. Just a kind of short episode today where I wanted to, communicate what I feel like is just the evolving nature of crypto, that this might not be the bull run that we had this time. Of course, it very well might be. And if we do get a 30% or more correction, I'm not going to be panicking. If we get over a 50% correction, I'd be a little bit worried. However, a 30% correction, not something that I'm worried about per se. Regardless, we might not get this. It might be something where, if we look at Bitcoin over the last, right when it had this sort of, correction right as it came into this 19K territory, we had this, right, where it kind of came down from 19.2 all the way down to, 16.7. Maybe this is the type of dips that we're going to be getting, this sort of 17%-ish dip, right? Maybe that's the new normal. But I don't know. And I think it has everything to do with this type of activity and new investor profiles coming into the space. That said, let's hop into some Q&A, guys. 1,427 of you guys. Thank you guys so much for watching. If you guys could all collectively smash the like button, I would be extremely, extremely excited by that. I am still holding FWT. I have over 80% of my bag still. They had a nice little run up last week, and it's still very early days for them. Super early days for them. Like I said, I like FWT because of what they're doing with their stock market trading, allowing for you to like buy real stocks, real assets, hold them, and get derivatives or get fees, essentially get paid with more of that asset. It's pretty new, and I think it's pretty cool, right? I think it's something that could catch on. Again, all these altcoins are very speculative, and that's why I preach so much about taking profits, guys, because if you take profits, then you cannot lose, right? If you take profits once you get hit with a really big surge, then if it takes months or whatever, and you still believe in it, you're not saddled, right? What do I think of PundyX? PundyX is fundamentally a strong project. They were from the 2017-18 run, and they made a lot of good news. However, it's been a long time. They've been pretty nascent, pretty zombie-ish. I didn't quite understand how their POS system was supposed to drive demand for their coin. That was the one thing. Like they have good technology, but I just wasn't fully on board with their tokenomics. Any thoughts on Oasis Protocol? Rose. It's a privacy-focused blockchain backed by Pantera, Winklevoss, Binance, etc. I actually haven't looked too much into Oasis. The thing is, with privacy is, and this might become a bigger deal if there's a huge regulatory crackdown, which, I don't really subscribe to boogeyman theories. I like to take information as it comes. However, if there is a big crackdown, then privacy might become a very popular mechanism. But I just sort of, look at how we operate. People don't really value privacy. They say they do, but they don't based on their actions. They do based on their words, but not actions. And so, that's kind of my biggest thing is I haven't seen a lot of people who really behave like they care about their privacy. It's just people don't. They readily share every detail about their lives to the internet publicly. So I think it could be cool, right? It looks good. There's several privacy networks that are very interesting. This and Secret Network was really cool. There's another several of them that I just don't get behind them because I don't You know, I'm not a huge believer that they'll necessarily pump huge, but let me see what's been going on. This is relatively new, huh? So it just came out 35 cents, 40 cents. Yeah, so since it's been on the market only a couple of weeks, it's had some nice growth. It's nice timing in the market too. It came in right at the low of November, and it got this nice scoop up. Let me see how much volume is it doing. Wow, that's a lot of volume. Yeah, looks pretty legit. It'll probably just move, you know, like other big alts like this. It'll move, you know, with the motion of the ocean of the alts. When there's big alt seasons, something like this will move. However, probably not until then, which is why I try to focus more on micros and other coins that I think have more upside, because it looks like this one probably like raised a a whole lot of money if they have all these people on board. And they already have a market cap of 92 million. They only have, what is this? 15% of their tokens circulating, right? 15% circulation out of 10 billion. So yeah, this thing fully diluted is close to $1 billion, right? What is that? It's close to, is that right? $600 million. It's a lot. It's a lot. So yeah, I mean, I'm not covering Falcon Swap directly yet because I want to see their tech delivered, but I did have a call with the team and, you know, they seem like they're working hard. However, you know, we'll see if they're able to deliver, it'll be good. But I said this before, I'm not going to cover them until they're like fully out and it's fully like audited and in production ready. Can you show example of the path to TGE contract like you mentioned earlier with Bondly? So let me think of what's a good example of this. Yeah, so a good example of this is like Coin. So if you go to Coin DeFi, which a lot of people are interested in getting into this coin when it first dropped. Let me go find it. Digging in tweets. Yeah, I don't know where. Maybe if I search contracts. All right, well, I can't find their contract address, but a lot of people like will tweet their contract address. If you guys are already, if there's like an existing project, right, like Injective, you can go to the markets or you can see their contract address right here. So if there's an existing coin that's already on CoinGecko, you can just find the contract address right here and you can just copy this and then you can go to, you know, Uniswap and you can just search for it, right? And you can say, hey, I want to find this. And it'll say, here's Injective. And that way you know this is the real one. So you just copy from CoinGecko, right? Oh, wait, oops. That was the window I used. Anyway, you copy from CoinGecko, you paste in here, and it'll give you the authentic token. However, if you don't have it from there, you need to make sure that you're getting the right token address directly from the project. And any project will post their token address right as they're having their TGE. So I'm expecting from Bondly, once they have their TGE, let me refresh here, they might have put it out. Nope, not yet. And so they haven't put it out yet. Any token you see before they announce their contract, and the contract again will look like, you know, take Octo, any coin, right? It'll have this contract right here. And so then you copy it. But before it gets on CoinGecko, which is when you really want to get in on these ones, if you're going to get in on that first day hype, you want to get it before it goes on CoinGecko, because then it's usually, you've probably missed it a little bit. Thank you, Donnie. I appreciate it. Yeah, everyone's been talking about linear finance. I need to do a deeper dive. Thanks for the super chat, Viral for Life. Thoughts on Ramp DeFi has massive potential. Yeah, I mentioned it before. I should have covered it. I was really on the fence about Ramp. I really liked the concept, and I was on the fence about doing an episode, and I kind of feel like I missed an opportunity there because it does seem like a really solid project. But, you know, I like to give you guys things before they pump, and after something goes on a big run, it's kind of, I don't like to touch things as they're too hot, right? Because inevitably, even if I tell people like an intelligent entry strategy, or I say, hey, not investment advice, whatever, but this is how I would do it, usually people, as soon as I cover things, just go in and buy them. And that is tricky when really the way to cover something that is up is to wait, oftentimes to wait and be patient. And so something like Ramp that had an amazing performance, maybe you want to wait a little bit. But regardless, it's a good project, and I kind of regret not covering it before. How do I feel about BFR, stock crypto equity swaps? Yeah, I'm not sure. Thanks for the super chat, though. I'll have to look into it. There's a lot of similar stuff going on. All right. Did I miss any super chats? Oh, I did. Anthony Jimenez, what do you think of PundiX? Oh, no, I covered that one. Yes, people are all on RFI, Reflect Finance. Yes, you did. I didn't cover it. I didn't cover RFI. Certainly wish I did. That thing absolutely mooned. Congrats to everyone who got in. Thoughts about New Cipher? I know they got listed on Coinbase. They were one of the smaller market caps there, but usually after you get the Coinbase pump, there's consolidation. Thoughts on PIPT? I don't have any thoughts on PIPT. Thanks, Lucas, for the super chat. Let me see what it is. PIPT, Power Index Pool Token, I'm guessing. Yeah. There's a bunch of this stuff going on. I think it's unproven how these indexes will work yet. Very unproven. Automatic compounding returns for holding RFI, difference maker and helping hodl it over others. Yeah, that's cool. Have any thoughts on Lock, Meridian Network? I mean, there's like nothing here to go on. Yeah, there's nothing here to go on. I have zero information that helps me judge this. Sorry, guys. Thank you, Joseph. I appreciate you too. Thanks for the super chat, buddy. So do you think FIRO and privacy will pump? I don't know. I'm not really good at, I don't try to predict privacy coins because I don't quite understand the market and I don't believe people value it too much. Token generator for dummies. Check out STV. Yeah, they've had that for a long time. ETH Party was back in 2017. Zil. Yep, maybe one day. Thoughts on Scale? Yeah, I looked into Scale. It looks interesting. Yeah, Sora XOR. It's just one of those that already it already has its runs over and over again. So I don't touch things that are up like 50x, right? All right, someone's just spamming Zilliqa. Can I time you off from here? No, I can't. Still bullish on UFT. Oofed. UFT. Yeah, it's probably consolidating here. I mean, they have a lot of, they had this huge run up. It's still up huge, right? It's still up like 5x. But yeah, I mean, they're still having their road to mainnet, and on their road to mainnet, I think it'll be, it'll pull some growth. All right, I missed your super chat, huh? Who was that? Let me make sure I got all these super chats. Thanks, Clint, for the super chat. Nigel, any thoughts on Lock? I answered that one. PIPT, I answered that one. KFAS, can you check out a coconut? AC, high yields, WBTC. Somebody keeps like, is it you that keeps DMing me about a coconut? A coconut. Sorry, guys, I'm a little raspy today. I need water. Right. So they're essentially doing like RSR, but for BTC BTC wrapped coins. So they're essentially taking all the BTC wrapped coins on Ethereum and using them as a basket of coins to create ACBTC. Yeah, it's interesting. I really don't know if this is going to be successful or what's wrong with just normal wrapped Bitcoin. Thoughts about BiDAO? Nope, none. I have no idea. If anyone makes money, you should take profits, probably. All right, guys. Well, it's been an amazing stream. Again, a little bit of a short stream today. I've got a lot of meetings on today. But again, thank you guys so much. We're at 100,000. Let me go ahead and just show you guys the glory that is 100,000 subscribers here. Look at that. That's a beautiful thing. 100K. I'm so thankful for you guys. I can't even put it into words. It is absolutely ecstatic to be sitting here as a six-figure man. And hopefully we get Bitcoin at 100K soon. I'm believing pretty strongly that, you know, the way that I've been feeling the market, the way that I've been looking at the market, I believe that we're really, really on the right track here for how we're seeing the value. Now, during these mania phases, right, a lot of, for lack of a better term, absolute junk pumps. When you're seeing mania phases like August, you're seeing mania phases like right now, you see something like a base protocol, which I'm not saying is absolute junk, but the rebasers take on this kind of Ponzi-nomics. And that's why after I kind of learned my lesson on them, they will pump, but they also are very, very, very volatile. And so the reality is there's a lot of junk that's going to pump during a climate of mania. And that doesn't mean that you missed it. And that doesn't mean that you should be in it. Because if you can take fundamental plays with really good technology and replicate success with them, you know, you get a 20x out of one coin. Well, what happens if you get a 7x out of a really fun, you know, you get a kind of riskier coin that you get a 20x out of that could easily go to a negative 99%, or you get a 7x and a 3x that you compound and you're at a 21x together. And so if you have three 3x's, all of a sudden you have a 27x, right? And so it's like, I'm not as concerned with missing those ridiculous moonshots that happen with the junk coins, because I know that if I can do repeatable 2, 3, 5x's, 7x's out of really solid coins that have great fundamental underpinnings, then we can replicate the gains, if not more, by staying safe, losing less, and compounding gains. And so that's kind of how I look at things. And I hope to, you know, continue delivering winning insights on the market. If that's a value to you guys, please do me a favor and subscribe and put that bell notification on, and you'll be made aware exactly when I put out content, when I come with new and exciting altcoins. I hope this episode brought you guys some value, and if it did, do me a favor, smash that like button. As always, I thank you guys so much for watching. My name's Elio Trades. You can follow me on Twitter or on Telegram. You can join our chat. The links for both of those are in the description. As usual, I thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you very soon on the next episode.